sent Soy home and told him not to say a word until we could agree on a plan. He was too fresh to argue. Soy walked home along the path behind my house that crossed the woods to his. I had no choice but to head inside. When I slid the back door open, I saw my mom and the man in the bow tie sitting in the living room. She sat smiling by the fireplace, and he sat in the flowery love seat closest to the front door, taking up most of it with his long, skinny frame. His tall legs were bent at sharp angles to both sides, just like his elbows. My mom and the man were mid-conversation when I walked in. I saw him notice me from the corner of his eyes, but he kept speaking. They are absolutely beautiful, Miss Callum. I don't believe I have seen Lilium Blueferium that vibrant before, he said as he touched the lilies that were on the table between them. Oh, you're so nice, said my mom with a giggle. My mom wasn't known for giggling, but flowers were one of her most favorite things in the world. She filled the house with them whenever she could. The most my dad would say about it was that fake flowers would probably cost less. Does your son have an appreciation for flowers as well? The man asked, finally turning to look at me. His blond hair was pressed firmly against the top of his head, and his pale skin looked almost wet. His grin was toothy, larger than it should be. I felt uneasy. The talking frog had been surprisingly odd, even, but I preferred it to him. Ah, there you are. Come, have a seat and say hello to Mr. My mom said, stopping for a moment. What was it again? Rim, he finished. And it was pleasant to meet you, young man. Hello, I said. Well done, my mom whispered, happily hearing me place my hello correctly. Mr. Rim is from the school board, she projected. And he's here to... Once again, she wasn't sure how to finish her sentence. I'm here to speak to you about Miss Weaver's class. We've begun an initiative where we, the board members, speak directly to students to learn more about their experiences in the school system. We'd like to have an open dialogue between the administration and the children. I think that's just wonderful, said my mom. She was smiling ear to ear, looking for me to agree. I gave a nod and waited for someone else to speak. Miss Kellam, we found that students tend to be more free and honest with their feelings when their parents can't hear. I assure you, I've been trained in creating an atmosphere where students can speak their mind without fear of punishment, said Mr. Ring. I see, said my mom. She turned to me and spoke in her usual kind voice. I'm going to be right here in the kitchen. If you need anything, sweetie, remember that you can be honest with Mr. Ring and nothing bad will happen. Okay? I nodded. Mr. Rim followed my mom with his eyes as she walked by him to the kitchen. She'd been right about his suit. It was dark blue and from what I could tell was fancy and expensive. But his bow tie is what stood out. It was a color of yellow that I had never seen before, and I could see why she had mentioned it too. As he moved, the light reflected off it in every direction. It didn't move like the clothes usually do. In fact, it didn't move at all. Also, I couldn't help but notice that he was taller than my mom even when he was sitting down. When she left the room, he turned to me abruptly. Has anything strange happened at the school in the past couple of days? I shook my head hard and fast. You can tell me. I'm here to help, he said in a friendly voice. You see, I didn't tell your mom this because I didn't want to worry her. Now, Mr. Rim leaned closer. His mouth looked large by the second. I was almost positive that he could eat the whole sandwich in one bite. There's he said, pausing, a person who has been bothering students. Some little birdie told me that perhaps they've been bothering you. Then he gave me the largest smile I'd ever seen. 2 sandwiches, at least. I knew deep down that he meant the frog. That's why she had acted so funny when she heard about his botan. Well, what does that person look like? I asked shyly. That's the tricky part, he replied. This person likes to disguise themselves in different ways. That might even seem impossible. His mouth was only a foot away now. 3 sandwiches, I said, and a side of rice. He continued. They may even be disguised as an animal. My eyes got wide. Mr. Reams got small. You have seen them, Mr. Reams said, trying to hide his excitement. I shook my head defensively. I didn't say that. You did. But you have, haven't you? He said sympathetically. Tell me what happened. It's for your own safety. I didn't know what to believe. So, what's so dangerous about her anyway? I asked. The moment I said it, I wished that I couldn't take it back. I wished that I could grab the words out of mid-air and zip them right back into my mouth. But I knew that's not how words work. Ha, he said. I couldn't look at him. He spoke sharply in a whisper. So it's true. She's come to see you. Tell me why. I shook my head. Why did she choose to reveal herself to you? Why you? Tell me, he demanded. It was nothing, I answered, despite myself. I was just. You were just what? He prodded. I was confused. But I knew beyond a doubt that I did not want to tell him anything more, and I was not going to make the same mistake twice. I was just catching frogs in the woods with Soy, and we didn't know it was a special frog, and we caught it by accident. I swear, she begged us to let her go, so we did, I said in one breath. Mr. Rim sat back and listened to me ramble on, and she wanted nothing to do with us, and made us promise not to tell anyone about her. And am I in trouble? I asked, pretending to cry. I'd learned how to fake crying the year before when I tried out for a small part in the school play. As it turned out, the role of the weeping willow wasn't even a speaking part. It's just a tree. No crying required at all. Still, after 40 minutes of standing up on stage, not being allowed to move, I cried a little anyway. No, he hissed. You've just disappointed me. I thought for a moment that you were there. My mom walked in, smiling, with a vase in her hand. Sorry to interrupt, but I thought you might enjoy seeing my latest. She stopped in her tracks when she saw me. What are you two talking about in here? Oh, Miss Cullen, your son and I were just. Mr. Rim sputtered. Why is he crying? My mom asked more forcefully. She rushed to my side to console me. It's nothing, Mr. Rim pleaded. Sometimes these talks can be emotional, and if you just wouldn't mind my just asking a few more questions. Tears were flowing more freely now. I had become the weakest willow in the world. I would mind, she said firmly, and if you like to keep your job, you leave right now. Mr. Rim straightened his jacket and grabbed a briefcase from behind the couch. Yes, of course. Thanks for your time, he said. He opened the door and turned to me. Be sure to let me know if your story changes, he said with an unfriendly glare. My mom put her arm around my shoulder. Out! She shouted. I spent the rest of the night listening to my mom speak on the phone with people from the school district. Apparently, Mr. Rim was highly regarded, but my mom didn't care. She was beyond angry. She yelled at some of the school people and even threatened to call the police once. By bedtime, she seemed a little calmer. Whatever Mr. Rim wanted with that frog, it wasn't good, I decided. Then, that I wasn't going to let him get to her. The next morning, my mom gave me an extra long hug and apologized for the 10th time for letting Mr. Rim into the house. I told her for the 10th time that it was all right. Soy and I met in front of my house to walk to school. As usual, I hadn't spoken to him since the treehouse. I told her for the 10th time that it was all right. How do you think it learned to talk? I mean. How come she could talk? He asked, without waiting for answers. He continued. And how did it know my name? I mean, she. I don't know. Same as you, I said honestly. What about the dude with the bow tie? He asked excitedly. His name is Mr. Rimson. He knew about her, I said. About the frog. So he asked. Yeah, he said that he was looking for someone who could disguise themselves as an animal. She was right to warn us. There was definitely something off about it. You didn't tell him anything, did you? Asked Soy. I looked down at the ground. I accidentally let on that I met her, I confessed. You did what? Soy said in shock. I didn't mean to. It came out by accident, and then Mr. Rim grilled me on why she had come to talk to me. Apparently, it's a big deal that she did. So what do you do? Draw him a picture of it and tell him everything? Are you recording this conversation for him right now? My brother said that if you're wearing a wire, you have to tell me. So he said angrily. No, quit being silly, Soy. I told Mr. Rim that we were catching frogs, found her by accident, and then let her go. Oh, okay. That's not bad, actually. So he said, thanks, I said with my head still hanging. And if he looks into it at all, the story will check out, since I do love catching frogs. In fact, I should catch a few extra this week, just to be safe. So, what now? So I asked. I really don't know, but we need to find out why that frog's here and why Miss Rain is after her, I answered. I'm in, said Sol, and take a frog in glasses over a man in a bow tie. Any day. I felt good to have Sol on my side. We'll figure this out together, he said, patting me on the back. My smile faded as he continued to pat. He was checking for a wire. See you next time.